Welcome back to the Airgun channel. Today we're going to be going over the Winchester model 1911 CO2 blowback BB gun. Today we're going to be going over a couple things about this gun, the quality, which is a very high quality replica, but today we're going to be going over the pros and cons of this firearm. So, in my last video, if you remember, I did a video of the Colt single action um, pellet pistol and a PMF-16 semi-automatic CO2. Both of those guns was CO2. Unfortunately, I had some springs break in my Colt, so unfortunately I can't do another shooting video or a distance test with that just yet. I'm ordering the springs for the parts right after this video, actually. So today we're going over the 1911, as I said. Some pros to this is, if you don't remember, the 1911s are very accurate guns. They were used by the it was one of the longest issued handguns in the U.S. military today, and some militaries, or some people in our military still use them today. Um, let's see here. So what we're going over now is these grips, which are like a, not a carbon, but like a real plastic. How you load the CO2 in it. As you can see, there's no CO2 in it. The magazine is out now, and it is on safety. I don't know if you can see that. I did lose this grip. I was out rabbit hunting one night, and I had brought this as just a secondary. I was hunting with my pellet guns, and a rabbit came up, and I drew, and I started firing, and I was walking, and my grip fell off, and I couldn't find it, unfortunately. So I may have to see if I can scrounge up one of those on the internet. So some modifications I did to this gun, which isn't really that much, to be honest with you. Modifications, the paint's worn off, but that's the only thing that's wrong with this gun, pretty much. It's not, so when it blows back, you cannot see the BB. It is a very accurate gun, and one thing to note, that when you fire it and the hammer is in this full position, you cannot put it on safety. It has to go back one click, then you can put it on safety. I will be doing a shooting test with this gun probably tomorrow. And in that shooting test, we'll see how powerful it is over longer distances, the accuracy over longer distances, and just the distance in general. So there's not much else to say about this gun. I mean, it's a great gun overall. This whole magazine holds 16 rounds. You can probably get a good 2 to 2.5 magazines full before your CO2 runs out. I can probably get a mag and a half of my magazines, because the modification I did, there was a spring in this tube right here when I took the slide off, and you take the slide off by unscrewing this little screw here, pulling the trigger, pushing the slide back, up, and then off. So like that, and then I took the spring off so it'd be easier to put the slide back on and just kick a little bit more. Just for the realism aspect of it. It did cut down on my CO2, how many mags I get on my CO2, but that didn't really seem much of a problem to me, since I wouldn't be using this, besides if I was doing a video for the channel and for you guys, or if I was just using it if I was hunting with my pellet guns or 22s and I just needed a little sidearm to carry. This gun does look real. Now that I'll show clear. Like I said, the magazine is empty. Actually, I'll leave the magazine out. Like I said, you can see the piston. You will not be able to see the BB. So looking at this business end, it looks like, a real firearm. It truly does. So, it's good if you're my age and let's say your parents don't let you have firearms in your room. I don't have that problem. I have a gun safe in my room in case anything happens. My dad was a Navy SEAL. I've been trained on gun safety, and so that's why I'm allowed to have the firearms in my room. But this firearm in particular, if you're a kid that just wants to get into pellet guns, I highly recommend it. It's cheap. I picked this up at my local sporting goods store, Academy Outdoors, for I think $99. It was the retail price. I walked out with it with a case and BBs and CO2s for $104. And it comes with a case, BBs and CO2s, and it's an actual gun case. It has a black case. Unfortunately I don't have it right now. But I mean, not much to say about this gun. To be honest with you, I mean, it's a great gun. Just one thing I want to go over before I end the video. Just on the side, it is made in Japan. You have your warnings on the side, has standard issue on all these. The slide just wobble just a tad bit, but I believe that's because I took the spring out. It says Winchester Air License Pistols, Daisy Outdoor Products, and Rogers, Arkansas in the USA. So that's neat. It's a Model 11, 1911. Now, interesting way, it makes it very efficient to put your CO2 in, no wasting. So you put your CO2 in, and you put the back in first, and then this comes out, and then you put the palm of your hand here. I'll get in the light. Palm of your hand here, and push up. And then all you have to do is take your firearm off safety. And of course, when you have BBs in it, it will not lock back like that unless you're empty. And then you fire. And the way I decock it is I pull back the hammer, pull the trigger, and slowly let down the hammer. But there's another way. You bring back the slide to this position as it was going for empty. You pull the trigger and then release the slide gently and safe. Like I said, overall great gun. It's great for the budget-minded person just getting into pellet gun shooting, or just the firearm safety. If you're a father or a mother teaching your son or your daughter firearm safety and handguns, and you don't want to start them out with a little 22, which I would recommend. That's what I was brought up with, is a little 22 rifle and a 22 pistol. But this, I would recommend this as just whatever age you feel fit to start your child on firearm safety. I would pick, and you want to start them off with a pellet pistol or a BB pistol, I would definitely pick this. I mean, it's a little bit hefty, and in the shooting range test, I will chronograph it. But I mean, like I said, overall great gun, very accurate, very efficient, and a little bit of history back on the 1911s. I know I'm getting scattered here and there, but I haven't done a video in a while, so I'm just kind of doing it on the spot before I take a nap or go to bed. But another aspect is the 1911 was a great gun. I mean, phenomenal. I'm actually looking to get one 45 ACP, standard issue like this that was issued in World War II. So what I would say about the 1911 is they're good guns, but if you get them too dirty, like with the dirt or like the dust and stuff like that in a combat environment, they seem to foul up a little bit more and jam and cause problems because they're manufactured so good and they're made so well and they're machined so precise that they just foul up easy. I mean, I'm a 1911 kind of guy. I love my 1911s, but I mean, if I had to pick a 1911, a SIG P226, or a Glock 19 going into a battle like scenario, I'd probably pick the SIG P226, to be honest with you. And mostly, I'm a Glock guy. I like Glocks, but the Navy SEALs, they switched from the SIG P226 to the Glocks. I don't think that's a smart idea because the SIG P226, if you remember, has a hammer. And if you have a hammer, you have a lot less chance of your firearm misfiring. So let's say I'm in a combat scenario and I draw and I'm shooting, coming out, but my gun doesn't work. Now with the Glock 19, it's an internal firing pin, so you have more probability for it to jam and misfire. So with the external hammer, you very, very rarely have something misfire because of that external hammer hitting that firing pin. And with an internal hammer and internal firing pin, you just get that not as reliability as an external hammer. Stay tuned for the shooting review of this 1911, and God bless. Have an amazing night. That's about it. Like I said, great gun. God bless.